Peter stayed by his father's side as they followed the fresh tracks up the hill. The northern hills were covered in dense forest, with steep slopes and tight valleys that twisted and turned beyond the horizon. Ridgelines connected the top... no. Ridgelines connected the hilltops, making the area difficult to navigate. Selecting the wrong ridge would send them back the way they came. The situation did not make any sense to Jake or Gale. The hoofprints did not follow known routes through the hills. Instead, they led straight over multiple ridges and down a treacherous slope, a path no one would willingly take. Gale continued to follow the tracks downhill toward a dry creek. They traced the hoofprints along the bottom of the creek bed. Overhead, the sun had passed the midday point and was Overhead, the sun had passed the midday point and was beginning to cast shadows on the valley. In the valley, not on the valley. Overhead, the sun had cast... Frickin' heck. Fourth time's a charm. Overhead, the sun had passed the midday point and was... Overhead, the sun had passed the midday point and was... Why am I having trouble with this? Slow down. Overhead, the sun had passed the midday point and was beginning to cast shadows in the valley. Gale ran on foot ahead of the group. Here, I found tracks from bare feet, which are about Owen's size. He was alone when he dismounted and switched horses. There's only one set of hoofprints. Just ahead, the horse's tracks start again. He moved at a brisk pace. This way. Jake said, "This makes no sense. It was like he was bewitched." "Do you know this path?" "No, I don't know this path. Never been this way," she said. Something or someone was guiding him. Ask all the men if they know how to cross through here. Ask all the men if they know how to cross through here. Jake motioned to the roughly 50 men on horseback that accompanied them. Gale ran back and spoke with Wayne. They spread out among the men and returned with an older man several minutes later. "Sir, this is Trickle." As a merchant, he traveled these hills for several years, trading between Eridan and Vasilia. Trickle was short in stature, thin and muscular for his size. His skin was intensely wrinkled from a life lived outdoors. He was a well-worn individual. When he spoke, his voice was crackled and raspy. "Yes, sir, I know this route. Unfortunately, it's far too dangerous," Trickle said. Jake was not surprised at the answer. He knew the interior of the hills was not safe. Gale did not know Trickle. Gale did not know Trickle, but she knew there had to be more to the story. "Let's just say that this is the way Owen went. He's at least half a day ahead of us. If you had 2 fully rested horses, how far could you go in a single day using this path?" Trickle said, "Assuming you didn't get all twisted up and lost in the maze of ridges and valleys. Also, if you're lucky enough to skip an encounter with the bandits or forest imps, you'd get to Eridan and then some, but you'd likely kill your horses in the process." Gale knew what Trickle would say before he spoke. It was the reason they always traveled the western perimeter of these hills. There was no clear path, and nasty creatures lived deep in the interior. Jake motioned for Gain and Whale. "Gain and Whale!" Good grief. I mean, I created these characters, and every now and then I screw up their names. It's amazing.